thought-provoking discussions. We are your number one online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook at Power365FM, Instagram at Power365_F. Power News and Insights.
Labor strike. NMA is a Nigerian Medical Association. Labor union shuts down government offices, banks in Katsina. While in Taraba, banks, schools, others shun nationwide strike in Taraba. Group comments Abiodun over Ota Abeokuta Expressway planned repairs. And implementing renewed hope agenda, our priority, says Ogbuku. Aj, be good ambassadors in Saudi Arabia, Uzodinma tells Imo pilgrims. Court bars Awomo Law from removing Alege as chair of BOB committee. Children's Day, as saying it calls for genuine love for the less privileged. AAC Cuba candidate Obe Rifle commends severe progress. Labor strike, total compliance in federal state government offices in Delta. Our work is far from over, Tinubu. Listen to workers' demand to save country from collapse. Ajadi urges Tinubu. And strike, Rivers orders in blackout over grid shutdown. Okay, we're committed to supporting NIMASA succeed. Vice Admiral Ogala. And this is saying power outage in Plateau as workers join strike. NLC grounds economic activities in Kebbi. Tempest over, now it's time for quality projects delivery for Bara. And this is saying Khan urges dialogue compromise to resolve ongoing strike. NLC, okay, I read that earlier. Stakeholders worry over time. I read that earlier too. And this is saying police in Anambra deploy men to check miscreants from hijacking Labor strike. Amotekun launches Operation Safe Grounds to deploy 1,000 men for Salah break in Ondo. And okay, this is showing 41 African countries set for stronger growth in 2024. AFDB. Okay, I'll bring you these stories and more when I return.
We pride ourselves on being your go-to source for authentic news and insight. Be it breaking news, thought-provoking discussions, we are your number one online radio station in Southwest Nigeria. We are dedicated to delivering top-notch content that keeps you informed, entertained, and engaged. Stay connected on Power365 Radio by following us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook at Power365FM, Instagram at Power365_FM. Power365 Radio, your source for news and insight.
Don't turn off your radio. You are listening to Power FM. This is 365 Power FM. Don't turn off your radio. You are listening to Power FM. This is 365 Power FM.
Alright, you're welcome back. This is still Power 365 online radio newspaper review, coming to you live from the city of Ibadan. So my first story will be picked from page 29 of the Daily Independent, which will be talking about labor strike. Labor cuts power, shuts cuts, airports, ministries, schools. This is saying the industrial action called by the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress on Monday plunged the nation into darkness, shutting down cuts, airports, schools, hospitals, banks, ministries, departments, and agencies of both federal and state governments. On Friday, NLC and TUC declared an indefinite strike over the new national minimum wage and the recent hike in electricity tariff. The labor leaders had said because of the economic pressure, the existing 30,000 naira minimum wage cannot sustain any worker today. The development led the federal government to constitute a tripartite committee on new minimum wage to begin negotiations on a wage benchmark. But at the May Day festivities of 2024 at the Eagle Square, Abuja, Labour had proposed to earn 615,000 naira as minimum wage. When the negotiation began in earnest, it had to beat down to 500,000 naira, then down again to 497,000 naira, and finally 494,000 naira before the talks broke down. Okay, so you may pick a copy of the Daily Independent to read more on this story. And it has some riders. Labor grounds activities at airports chase away passengers. Judiciary workers lock out judges from courts. Activities paralyzed at federal state secretariats, especially in Oyo State here. Activities were actually paralyzed. Strike leaves General Hospital patients stranded. Federal government, labor reach agreement on minimum wage. Oh, okay, let me read that part. Let's read that part. That seems to be okay. That's hold on. Okay, it's saying federal government, Labour Party, Labour reach agreement on minimum wage. Meanwhile, Labour and the federal government on Monday reached an agreement. The agreement is as follows: the federal government, in the national interest, convened a meeting with Labour held in the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Monday, 3rd June, with a view to ending the strike action. After exhaustive deliberation, and engagement by both parties, the following resolutions were reached. The President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, is committed to a national minimum wage that is higher than 60,000 naira. Arising from the above, the tripartite committee is to meet every day for the next 1 week with a view to arriving at an agreeable minimum wage. Labor indifference to the high esteem of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria's commitment into above undertakes to convene a meeting of its organs immediately to consider this commitment, and no worker will be victimized as a result of the industrial action. Okay, all right. So the agreement has not really agreed, and they were talking as if it's a major agreement. Okay, we are fingers are crossed. Ogun Statistician General implores colleagues to embrace innovative techniques. Mr. Michael Babatunde Ajayi, the Ogun State Statistician General, has charged statisticians in the state to evolve and trend with modern technologies and innovative techniques in the discharge of their duties. Read more of that story. It's on page 28, of the Daily Independent. And coming from the Nigerian Police Force, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Olukayode Egbetokun, has said that the Nigerian Police Force will comply with any decision made by the federal government regarding state police. He made this disclosure on Monday in Lagos State through the DIG Abiodun Alabi, the Coordinating Deputy Inspector General of Police for the Southwest, during a walking visit to the state. Okay, so that's coming from the IGP, who was represented by one of the DIGs. And this is saying NLC accuses federal government of intimidation over national grid shutdown. President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, has said that Nigerian workers will not be intimidated by the management of any organization or government entity over its decision to go on strike. Recall that the nation was thrown into darkness following a shutdown of the national power grid by the unions. Ajero said the spreading of outright falsehood to mislead the public instead of working with other stakeholders to resolve the issues raised by Nigerian workers through the NLC and TUC will not be accepted. Okay, read more of that story. It's on of Heritage Bank's license revocation. Following the Central Bank of Nigeria's revocation of the license of Heritage Bank, stakeholders have queried why the CBN waited till the bank was irredeemable before acting. They queried the stress test mechanism of the Apex Bank, the customers of the bank. All right, so you may read more of that. It's on page 1 of the Daily Independent. And then this is coming from the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, that Okezie Kalu, Benjamin Okezie Kalu, who said on Monday that for Africa to overcome global economic challenges, the continent needs to reduce dependency on the global north, utilize foreign exchange judiciously, and implement robust industrial policies. Okay, he stated this while delivering a paper on parliamentary spotlight at the 2024 Africa Economic Summit, themed Africa Riding the Crest of Global Economic and Political Volatility in Abuja. And this is saying the Enugu State leadership of the National Association of Sea Dogs, also known as Pirates Confraternity, has partnered the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to curb the menace of drug abuse in Enugu. The Enugu State Chapter President of the association, Mr. Joe Mazeli, in a statement made available to journalists on Monday in Enugu, lamented drug abuse is fast becoming a serious defect that requires collective efforts to curtail. And so let me bring you this one. This is a felicitation from the former president of the nation, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Jonathan felicitates Governor Diri at 65. Former President Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has felicitated by Elsa State Governor on the occasion of his 65th birthday, describing him as a peace-loving leader. The former president noted that Diri, since assuming office, has demonstrated the capacity and the will to pursue people-oriented policies and work in the interest of the citizens of the state. Okay. Uzodinma Afrexim Bank unveils Imo's Africa Quality Assurance Center. Governor Hope Uzodinma has recorded another feat in his administration's determination to boost commerce and industry in Imo State, as he was joined on Monday by officials of the Africa Import-Export Afrexim Bank to unveil the second Africa Quality Assurance Centers in the state. Labor union shuts down government offices, banks in Katsina. Labor unions in Katsina State on Monday joined their counterparts in other parts of the country to enforce the industrial action over the unresolved minimum wage negotiations and the recent hike in electricity tariff. And then this is saying banks, schools, others shun nationwide strike in Taraba. Following the commencement of strike by organized labor across the country, banks, schools, filling stations, and other businesses have refused to join the nationwide industrial action in Taraba State, despite the picketing of businesses by the enforcement team of labor. Reports have it that private schools, filling stations, and other businesses in Jalingo, the state capital, also shunned the call on workers to down tools. Okay. All right, let me bring you this next one, which is saying group comments Abiodun over Abeokuta Expressway planned repairs. Ado Odo Ota concerned citizens on infrastructure organized as commended Prince Dapo Abiodun, the governor of Ogun State, for his recent decision to award the contract for the reconstruction of the Ado Odo Ota Abeokuta Road. A statement by Mrs. Olajumoke Odeyemi, coordinator of the group, said that the road was a vital artery for the community's economy, facilitating trade, movement, and access to essential services. Read more of that story. And this is saying, this surprisingly, some Igbos actually go to Hajj. And this is coming from Imo State. It's saying, Hajj, be good ambassadors in Saudi Arabia. Uzodinma tells Imo pilgrims. Governor Hope Uzodinma has charged Muslims from Imo State going for Hajj in Saudi Arabia to be good ambassadors of the state through their behavior in the Holy Land. Addressing the intending pilgrims at the Sam Mbakwe Executive Council Chambers, Government House, Owerri, on Sunday, June 2, 2024, preparatory for their departure, the governor said the least he expects from them on return is an award of good behavior in Saudi Arabia. Read more of that story on page Independent. And then let me bring you this next story, which is saying our work is far from over. Tinubu, in a momentous event highlighting the dynamic leadership and transformative vision of the Federal Capital Territory, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu emphasized that while significant milestones have been achieved, the journey towards national development is ongoing. That's on page 4 of the Daily Independent. And then this next one is saying they are saying Oba Sefiu Olawale Oyebola Adeyeri 3 Ajiro Tutu 1 has charged Nigerians to show genuine love to children from poor homes to create a just society. The call was made at the 2024 Children's Day program organized by Women's Organization for Resources, Knowledge and Skills works at the Ashenyi Palace in Ishenyi. Okay, this is saying we're committed to supporting NIMASA succeed. Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, the Chief of Naval Staff, on Monday said that the Nigerian Navy, under his leadership, is committed to supporting Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, to succeed. Read more of that story on, strike, Rivers, others in blackout over Greek shutdown. Rivers and other neighboring states in the South on Monday experienced a total blackout as labor unions shut down the national electric grid following the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress nationwide strike, which began on Monday. Alright, we are also experiencing a blackout here in the city of Ibadan. And then still on Rivers crisis, tempest over. Now it's time for quality projects delivery. Rivers State Governor Sasiminalayi Fubara has declared that the worst in the political crisis that confronted governance in the state was over, adding that his administration is now working assiduously to deliver quality services and signature infrastructure projects in line with his administration's People First mantra. Labour Party, CISLAC, ask federal government, Labour to dialogue in Nigerians' interest. As the effects of the nationwide strike by the organized Labour Congress continue to spread, with government agencies shutting down services, the Labour Party has called on the federal government and the organized Labour to return to the negotiating table and arrive at an acceptable position for the sake of suffering newspaper review. I'll bring you more news when tomorrow on